There are quiet rooms that feel restful. And then there are quiet rooms that feel aware. In those rooms, silence does not simply exist. It notices. Loneliness is often misunderstood as the absence of people. But for many, loneliness appears most clearly when no one is required. Quiet rooms do not demand conversation. They do not expect performance. They do not reward engagement. Healing does not arrive as comfort. It arrives as tolerance. The ability to remain in silence without fleeing. To sit in a quiet room and allow the body to react. To let discomfort exist without judgment. This is not strength. It is patience. Over time, the nervous system learns something new. Stillness does not mean abandonment. Presence can exist without performance. Breath deepens. Muscles soften. Loneliness changes texture. It becomes less sharp. Less urgent. Not gone, but integrated. Eventually, the quiet room feels different. Not warm. Not joyful, but safe. Silence no longer exposes. It contains. Thoughts slow. The body rests. Loneliness may still visit, but it does not dominate. The room becomes neutral ground, a place where nothing is required. Nothing is missing. The quiet remains. But it no longer feels empty. There is a moment when silence stops asking questions. The room remains still. But the mind no longer searches. Loneliness no longer defines the space. It simply passes through. Quiet becomes a companion rather than a mirror. And in that stillness, something subtle appears. Not happiness. Not fulfillment. Just presence. And for the first time, that is enough. They simply exist. And in that simplicity, something profound happens. The mind turns inward. Without noise to anchor attention, awareness drifts. Thoughts surface without invitation. Emotions rise without explanation. This is where loneliness begins to take shape. Not as sadness, not as despair, but as a subtle sense of disconnection from warmth. Some people describe it as emptiness, others as distance, others as restlessness. The room itself feels unchanged, but the inner world feels suddenly louder. This loneliness was not created by silence. It was uncovered by in busy environments. Identity is reinforced by reaction. Someone responds. Someone notices. Someone reflects presence back. In quiet rooms, there is no reflection. And for those who rely on external cues to feel emotionally real, silence can feel like disappearance. The mind begins to ask questions it normally avoids. Am I connected right now? Am I held when nothing is happening? These questions do not seek answers. They seek reassurance. And silence offers none. Loneliness in quiet rooms is rarely about the present moment alone. It is often the echo of earlier emotional environments. Many people who feel this way grew up in spaces where connection existed, but was inconsistent. Care was present, but not always attuned. Attention was given, but not always felt. Emotions were acknowledged, but not always understood. The child learned that connection required activation. Talking, achieving, responding, performing. Stillness, in those early years, often meant emotional absence. No one asked how the child felt in quiet moments. No one mirrored inner states that had no outward expression. Over time, the nervous system adapted. Connection became something external. Something that happened between people, not within. Silence became associated with emotional distance. Not trauma, not neglect, but subtle absence. The kind that teaches a child to stay alert even when nothing seems wrong. As adults, these individuals may have full lives, relationships, careers, social circles. Yet in quiet rooms, the old pattern reappears. Because silence still feels like being unseen. When the external world quiets, the brain changes states. The default mode network activates. This system governs memory, identity, emotional processing, and self-reflection. For some people, this state feels calming. For others, it becomes emotionally dense. Thoughts loop. Memories resurface. Questions about meaning drift forward. The brain is not malfunctioning. It is doing what it was designed to do. But when emotional regulation has historically depended on interaction, this internal focus feels destabilizing. The nervous system interprets silence as social absence. Oxytocin decreases. The body subtly shifts into alertness. This is why quiet rooms can feel uncomfortable even when nothing is wrong. The discomfort is not psychological weakness. It is biological patterning. The body learned connection through external presence. Silence removes that regulation. Loneliness emerges not as emotion, but as sensation. A tight chest, a shallow breath, a restless need to move or distract. People who feel lonely in quiet rooms often avoid silence instinctively. They keep something playing. Music, podcasts, background noise. Not because they hate quiet, but because quiet feels intimate. Silence asks for nothing, which means everything inside becomes available. Loneliness, when unobserved, feels endless. Without edges, without conclusion. So the mind protects itself. Distraction becomes safety. Noise becomes companionship. This avoidance is not denial. It is wisdom shaped by experience. At some point, feeling deeply without support felt overwhelming. So the system learned to stay busy. But avoidance has a cost. Each escape reinforces the belief that silence is dangerous. The loneliness remains unprocessed. Waiting. Eventually, a realization begins to form. The loneliness is not asking for more noise. It is asking for presence. Not external presence. Internal companionship. The discomfort is not emptiness. It is unshared awareness. An inner world rich with perception, but without emotional holding. Silence reveals this honestly. It shows where connection has been outsourced, where validation was borrowed from reaction, where being seen depended on interaction. This realization is quiet. There is no relief yet, only understanding. Loneliness does not want to be solved. It wants to be witnessed. Every breath becomes louder. Every movement feels intentional. Every thought seems to echo longer than expected. For some people, quiet is peaceful. For others, quiet feels exposing. Not because the room is empty, but because it removes the world that once stood between a person and themselves. Loneliness in quiet rooms does not announce itself with pain. It arrives softly, like a pause that lingers too long, like a question that has no language. It is not the loneliness of being unwanted. It is the loneliness of being fully present with no distraction. This experience is rarely talked about, because it does not look like loneliness from the outside. Yet inside, something feels missing. Not someone. Something. This is the psychology of people who feel lonely when everything finally goes quiet.